My name is Bart. Welcome to Explain Everything. Today with Sam here. Hi, Sam.
Hey Bart, how are you? Thanks everyone for joining.
Hey, great. I'm great. Together with Sam here, we're going to present you the integration between Google Classroom and Explain Everything. Sam is going to be your presenter today to show you the entire flow. I must admit, I'm most excited about this scenario that we're going to share with you today, as it shows the potential of what Whiteboard is capable of. This platform is so open-ended, it allows for so many scenarios. We'll try to cover that using a simple flow, but we'll digress and explore possibilities while doing so. Few housekeeping items before we begin. Make sure to engage with us and ask us questions on the chat of this Zoom session here. For the purpose of the demonstration, we're not going to do the collaboration today. So try to engage us by asking questions on the chat, and we will respond to them while providing you with the scenario. Okay,
Great.
so we're going to begin. This demonstration will take about 45 minutes. So there'll be a time at the end if you want to explore some more possibilities. Sam?
Great. Thank you. Thanks Bart for introducing the webinar today. Again, the focus on kind of what we're going to be working on today will be using Explain Everything in Google Classroom. As a former classroom teacher and someone who has used Explain Everything throughout my career, a lot of people think it's kind of a standalone application or service where you can create videos, create presentations, and great content. But what we're really focusing on here is the ability to work with Explain Everything inside of your current learning management system, specifically Google Classroom today. So with that, I will get started. As Bart mentioned, please feel free to ask questions using the Q&A tab there at the bottom, and we will be answering those throughout. So whether it has to do with what I'm working on or not, feel free to join there or to share there. All right, so let me just share my screen and we'll get started. Awesome. Great. Bart, can you just confirm that you can see my screen?
Absolutely, I can see your screen, and one comment here is that today we'll be using two platforms. We'll begin with iOS, but we'll also share examples from Chromebooks.
Right.
Sharing Chromebooks.
Yeah. So exactly. So just kind of as a overall the experience we'll be sharing. This can be done. The workflow that we're going to be talking about can be done on any device, whether you're using Explain Everything on Chromebooks or an iPad. So it's not device specific. It's very device agnostic. The actual workflow is quite similar on both and looks quite similar on both. And we'll go through both of those examples for today. So just as an overview for those of you who are brand new to Explain Everything, we won't really talk too much about the demo, but it is an interactive whiteboarding platform, right? So kind of what we'll be doing today is everything that you see, we'll be actually using Explain Everything, right, as our presentation tool, right? So here's kind of a quick overview of Explain Everything, and you guys will get a copy of this when we're done. Awesome. So let's get started here. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to be showing Explain Everything on Chrome and iOS, right? So I kind of wanted to start with a quick introduction of the two, right? So first, I'm just going to do a quick introduction of our Google Classroom introduction on Chrome, and then we'll jump into the Google Classroom introduction on iOS. So let's start here. And if you can't hear through your device, that's okay. There's just background music here. This is just to get get some ideas flowing about what's possible.
Oh, so that was a pre-recorded material that we took from YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. That was quite interesting experience seeing Explain Everything within Explain Everything. As you see, we're using our own platform to present videos to you.
Correct. Yep. So what we did here is we just added in these videos here that kind of give you an overview of the workflow that we're going to be talking about today, right? So for example, the ability to download projects from Google Classroom, work on them in Explain Everything, and then export them back to Google Classroom. And what we're going to focus on today is really kind of both dynamics, right? From the teacher's point of view. So if you're creating content as an assignment or as a template or as a question for your students, or as a student, right? If you're downloading a project from Google Classroom and using that as a template for an assignment you're working on, or as a kind of worksheet that a teacher has given you, right? So the focus here is to kind of take this from both directions, from the teacher's point of view, as well as from the student's point of view. So what you're seeing here is just this ability to, again, work with Explain Everything in tandem with Google Classroom to be able to view student projects, student assignments, and then also pass them back there. We'll dive a little bit deeper in here. I know that was a really quick overview, but I think that's helpful to get an idea of what we're going to be working on today.
Absolutely. Just don't get intimidated because we have this slide here, as you see, describing all of the process. We'll take it slowly, step by step, showing you exactly how everything should be done in each of those steps.
Great. So the idea here is that we want to start out as a teacher or instructor or a tutor, someone that's really, the focus here is designing an assignment or providing instruction to, giving a template for, making a video for, either the consumption or the ability to interact with that content that's been created, right? So again, as we kind of gave examples here, this can be something like a video, right? Where you actually create a video and explain everything and put it into Google Classroom to be viewed by the students. It could be a template that you've created in Explain Everything where you want the students to actually interact with that template, right? So the ability for a student to take something that's been created by the teacher, to download it, and then to use that template that's been provided as an assignment or as some type of guide for the learning that the teacher wants to provide for the student. And then finally, this idea kind of combines the two, right? This idea of creating an assignment and Explain Everything, right? An assignment would be, for example, bringing in existing content, whether it's a PDF or a PowerPoint or a formula or a graph, things like that, bringing them into Explain Everything, and then using those, hitting the record button, using that existing content to then provide assignments for your students. And we'll talk about what that looks like shortly. And so as an example here, we just wanted to kind of show you what this might look like. The idea of bringing in existing content, right? From Explain Everything, you can bring in content from anywhere, whether it's bringing in files from Google Drive or from your photo gallery, or bringing in clip art, or bringing in a live web browser. Right? You can bring in this content from the outside and incorporate them into your assignments. Anything to add there, Bart, before we move on to the next step?
Oh, it's just that it's so powerful. I mean, the tool is so powerful. You can bring in almost every digital asset you have in your library and bring it to life on the canvas of Explain Everything. It's impossible to cover all of those options. That's why perhaps it's good to encourage you to check our library of videos and tutorials we have on YouTube if you want to explore and learn more about this aspect.
Great. I noticed one question so far. Which version of Explain Everything do students need to use with Google Classroom? It can be either one. Yeah, it can be either one. So whatever version you're using today will work great with Google Classroom. So thanks for that first question.
There is one note, if I can add something to it, is that we'll provide you with one illustration. One of the examples that we'll share is engagement into a group project where students collaborate together. So this is not something that could be run using EDU version, rather Explain Everything whiteboard subscription version. But this is the only exception.
Right. So yeah, that's a great reminder. So you can use Google Classroom with either version. Now, some of the scenarios that we're going to be talking today are only available in the whiteboard version, right? So for example, if you're exporting your projects as a URL link that can be shared as a URL or as a collaboration, those will be in the whiteboard version. If you're just sharing as an MP4 video, that would be available on either version, where you can actually post that MP4 video into an assignment or as a student into your Google Classroom workbook. Great. So the second step here is this ability to share from Explain Everything into Google Classroom. And we'll go through all these steps. I'm just kind of highlighting each of them here, right? So this ability to take content from Explain Everything, right, and share it directly into Google Classroom. And I'll do a quick example here. And I have these two pictures to show you, right? So, you can share it in any format that you want, as mentioned. And all that you would do is just hit this export button, right? And we'll talk about something that's a little bit more specific to content that might be useful for you. But just as a kind of an overview here, all I have to do is hit that export button, right? And if I wanted to export this as a web video link, for example, all I'd have to do is wait for that video link to load, hit that share button, right? And then all I have to do is just drop it into Classroom, right? And once it's in Classroom, and we'll show this workflow, you have the ability to make it an assignment, you have the ability to make it a question, you have the ability to make it an announcement. So it can be really any of these things. It can be as a movie, it could be as a URL, it could also be as a collaboration. And we'll talk about those three options. And then, so once this is shared, right, now we move on to the student side of things, right? So once the teacher has created the content in Explain Everything and shared it to Google Classroom, now how is that going to be consumed by the student, right? So there's a couple different ways. And let me first, before we go into that, just show you what it looks like when I export a project into Google Classroom from Explain Everything. And for just this quick example here, what we'll be doing is I actually am using the Google Classroom app on an iPad, and I'll grab my Chromebook shortly and show you what the workflow looks like on that Chromebook as well. It is quite similar. With a Chromebook, you don't need to download an app, you just use the browser. For this example today, what we did is use, or for this example right here, we're using Google Classroom as the app. So let me just show you where I went, right? All I have to do is jump in there, Google Classroom, right? And this is just an example of a test class that we have here. And I'm giving you an example here of something that a teacher shared with their students, right? And these are both example assignments, right? Where there's no student work in here because there's nothing that's been delivered yet. There's no assignments that have been turned in. I'll go to instruction, right? So these are the instructions, right? Demonstrate your understanding of the characters with a video describing their importance. All you'd have to do is click that drive link, right? And it would open up Explain Everything, and you could download that project, right? So as I showed you before, that export flow, right, where you post something in Explain Everything, you can then just open up Google Classroom as a student and click that link right there and download it, right? And we'll show you this whole workflow as we go. I just want to jump back into Explain Everything to get through these kind of 5 steps that we're going to be reviewing today. Okay. So now that we know how to get this content out of Explain Everything to Google Classroom, let's think about, as a student, how I would access this content and why it would be important for me, or different ways that I would do that. right? So there's different things that you can do, right? You can access content as a video, right? Where you just post a video into Google Classroom. Really simple. Just like you could upload a video into kind of any space, right? Whether it's YouTube or kind of any website. You can export a project very simply here as a video, right? And then all I'd have to do is hit Classroom there, right? And as a student, I could create my content or create my project and explain everything, and boom, it would then compress that as a video. And then I could just turn it in to Classroom. And I'm on the kind of the teacher side of Classroom right now. But for example, if I was a student that wanted to make an announcement, what you'll see is that project will then just load right in there, and I can share this with my class. Pretty nice.
It's actually a very neat integration of both apps, as you see sitting here on an iPad, where you can exchange different types of content. They're actually very powerful as well if you want to allow flexibility to respond with different type of content to an assignment provided by a teacher. You can do that, or you can restrict students and suggest what kind of output should there be uploaded to Google Classroom. So it's up to you how you structure your workflow in order to provide instructions, what is needed to be, the result of the assignment.
Oh, someone's asked me to hide the QuickTime panel. Here, let me do that. Thank you for letting me know. There you go. I think it's gone now. Awesome.
Yes, it is.
Great. So the second option here is to download a project as a template. Oops.
So Sam, if we could pause for a second, there's a question: what's the difference between exporting with a web video link and export option? The answer is simple. If you do the web video link, then Explain Everything handles the video on the server side. That means you have a link under which video will stream, and you don't need to do anything with a video file, because it's stored on Explain Everything servers, and it plays. If you or a teacher or anyone else click the link. While if you use export option, it means that you actually render a video and post this video directly from your device. Is that a good answer, Sam?
Yes, exactly, right? So for example, these aren't live projects, and I will show you what it looks like on my Chromebook shortly. But all you'd have to do is, if this was basically a live project that I just shared and I wanted to be downloaded from as a student, right? This isn't a live project, it's been deleted now. But if I wanted to, it would just allow me to download that project, right? And actually interact with it. The web video is basically a final format, right? So the URL, when you share it as a URL, it's a downloadable project that you can actually interact with as a template. So I'm a student and I can actually download that template that the teacher has shared and interact with it like an assignment. Whereas if it's just a video format, right, then I'm just watching it. There's no ability to download and interact with that project, right? And I'll give you those two examples. So this idea of having a video is kind of the end format, and the idea of a template, right, is actually something that you can pass back and forth with your students, right? You can assign them, give them assignments using your voice and using the recording and Explain Everything, and then pass it to them as this web video link, right? They can download that web video link and then answer the questions that you've asked them, or complete the assignment. So that's a little bit different than just handing them a video.
And just to provide you with the benefits of using web video link instead of exporting video, it's actually, usually it's not much difference if you're creating short format of a video. If you have a video file in the cloud, that's great. If on the device, it's easy to export short video. But if you think of an assignment that will, like, let's say, produce a video that is longer than 30 minutes, then exporting a large video file from the device might be an issue. Considering different connectivity options that exist, it might be a slight of a problem. And that's why it's better to use web video link, because it's faster and more reliable.
Yep, exactly. And that what it allows from that project is, again, instead of just having an end format where I've exported it as just a video that can be watched like on YouTube, the ability to then share that, you can share that project, they can watch it, but then they can also download it. And I'll show you that shortly. And then finally here, oops, is this ability to, looks like there's a spelling mistake there, joining a collaborative space for a group assignment, right? So the difference here is that I can actually use this invite button, and it's different than the ability to just download, right? You can now also give the option to share a collaboration, where they can join a collaborative project that isn't just downloadable, but it's actually joinable. So you think of it almost like a Google Drive document that we would now be sharing that a bunch of people can join. So that web video link is just a downloadable link, and the collaboration is one that a number of people can join. So it's kind of whichever type of project you're interested in using for your assignment, whether you want it to be a group project that's collaborative, or you want it just to be more of a template or an assignment that's downloadable. And for same thing here, all I'd have to do is hit share, and I could take this to Google Classroom, and I would share this as a collaborative project, as you can see here. Great. Now let's give a quick example here. Right, so we went through these kind of 3 ways that students would use this, right? Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to jump over to the Chromebook and just show you this workflow really quickly so you can see what it looks like.
This is exciting. I mean, jumping from one device to another, because it looks so similar. The experience is so similar, yet sometimes a bit different because of the differences in operating systems. So without this, information that we're actually changing devices here, you might not even notice.
Right. All right, so let's share my desktop screen. Okay. So now you see I'm actually on a different device here. So this is the device you're now seeing on the screen. So let's give an example here. So what I can do here, let's start in Google Classroom so we can see what it looks like from the Chromebook. Right? So I'm just going to jump out of Explain Everything here. Jump out of Explain Everything, and I'm going to go into, as you can see here on the bottom tab, right? I just jumped into the Chrome browser, and here's the experience of Explain Everything in the Chrome browser Google Classroom on a Chrome browser on this Chromebook here, right? And what I have here is the same thing as I showed you on the iPad, where I have a number of different options here, right? And what I can do here is I can just click on any of these projects, right? And I can go to questions. So this is maybe a question that I'm being asked, and all I have to do is hit that, right? And this is what it looks like when you're sharing a project with a student, right? Now this would be a collaborative project where I could actually join it live. I also have this ability to download it, right? So if I download it, I basically download a copy for myself. And if I join it, then I can work with someone else on it, right? So it's both this is both a collaborative project as well as a downloadable project. So kind of however you would like to use it with your students is kind of the way that we recommend.
So here's there's a difference in collaboration, and there are 2 scenarios basically if you think of collaborative projects. So previously with EDU version, the collaboration was limited to the exchanging of project files. So one student works on a part of a project and then exchanges the file with other students, so other students can continue the work. With Explain Everything Whiteboard, it's possible to do the real time collaboration. And as Sam suggested, this is very much of experience of a Google Docs without any restrictions of the forum. So it's a fully collaborative whiteboard where students can engage together and work an assignment without this necessity of exchanging files.
Great. Yeah, exactly. And so what you might have just noticed there is two things. This is the collaborative project that I created. So I created two projects with this kind of same look. One I can actually join here, but I could join this project. And what you see is it actually is a history of the other projects. And this first project I created was just a downloadable project, right? So if I click that, it'll actually play the video that was created in this project, right? And as you can see from this project, I can't join it, right? I can only download it, right? So there's two projects created from the same project that the teacher created. They created one as an assignment and one as a collaboration, however they want to do it. In this case, I created both under the same type of project, right? So I could download this and it would download that project, right? And it would open that project and there I have my recording, right? So I just downloaded a copy of that project, great. Now I can create my own story using the instructions that the teacher provided me, right? So that's kind of a nice workflow working from explain everything working from Google Classroom, now taking it as a student to explain everything, downloading it, and then working on it. And now what I could do as a student is say I'm done with it. I don't want to pass it back as something that's downloadable or any collaboration. I'm just a student that wants to hand in my work. All I have to do is export it, right, as this video format, and I can put it into Google Drive, or I can put it directly into my Google Classroom, right? So I can export this video as an assignment and put it into Google Classroom there, right? So it's a really neat workflow, very open-ended, depending on how you want to kind of create this scenario. So we'll stop for a second here. I think there might be a few questions that I can look at, and we can talk a bit more about what it might look like.
So there was a question related to the RealLife Collaboration, and let's just cover that. So the question is does everyone needs to have Explain Everything account to collaborate? And the answer is not necessarily, because you can join collaboration started by existing user, that is user with an account, but you can join such collaboration as non-registered user. Then in the list of collaborators, you'll show up just as an explainer, and you can join with a browser or even with Explain Everything EDU version as well.
Great, yeah, so you can be, this host. You need an account to be this host, but in order to just be a contributor and to join a collaboration, you do not. So because we have that question, let's create this scenario, right? As you saw here, right, this was the downloadable project that I downloaded and I would work on as a student. Now, if this is actually a collaborative assignment, what I can do is hit this edit button. And what you notice is that now this project is being rendered in the cloud, right? As opposed to on my device. Right? So what you'll see up here in this top right-hand corner is a join code. And if you type that join code into Explain Everything, you'll actually join this project, right? And we can work on a collaboration on ourselves, right? So for example, we have a couple of contributors here. And if you feel like joining, feel free. We have a couple of people that are, moving things around on the screen. Right.
So I just joined, and I'm responsible now for all of the movements of the horse that you see in the lower right corner. That's actually me here. So we can create visuals together, or create recording, story, whatever we want to accomplish together as students on this collaborative project.
Right. So so the difference here, to kind of describe it a bit more, right, would be the ability to kind of create your own project alone, as create a video, something like that, or use a template that has been provided by someone else, right? or to actually create a collaboration. And as you can see here, I'll be the bear. Right? It looks like someone else has joined and they're the elephant.
Welcome.
Right?
And I see someone joined using unregistered version or without an account, and that's why in the top right corner you see explainer as a participant of the session.
Correct. Right. Exactly. So this is kind of what a collaborative project would look like if this was the way that you want your students to work. So you have all of those different options when creating something and Explain Everything. And it doesn't have to be necessarily shared through Google Classroom. It could be shared in any way, but this is a great way to kind of post assignments, give instructions, and then use the current workflow that you really like and do it that way, right? Thanks, Ryan, for adding that there. Right?
One more note here is that with this RealLife Collaboration, you can ask students that are using different devices to work together. So this is not restricted to just one platform. You can, as you see here, I'm using iPad and Sam is broadcasting from Chrome. Most probably, some of you joined already using browsers on computers. That's okay. So all of those devices are good to connect.
Correct. Great. So check what time. So let's see. One question that I'll answer right now. Google Classroom has remote access control. Haven't remote access with Explain Everything. Could the teacher check what the student is doing on? So what they would do is the students would join the collaboration now. If the students are on their own and you assigned a collaboration for a group of students, you wouldn't be able to see what they're doing at that time. You could jump in and see, right? You would have the ability to join that collaboration that you shared as an assignment and see what they're doing. But for example, if they were working on a homework assignment at night as a group, you wouldn't be able to kind of see the history of what each person did. It's something we're working on, but I think that was the question. You wouldn't be able to kind of see everything that was going on. You could host it, so you could make the situation one that only certain people can view and other people can actually contribute, right? You can set those permissions at the outset, but you wouldn't be able to actually see like the contribution history, something like that. Great, awesome. So it looks like we had 4 people in this collaboration, kind of really exciting. I can now go back here, and what you'll see is that collaboration is still existing in the background, so people can continue working on it just like a Google Doc, right? That's a kind of a cloud-based project, which is much different than this project that we had at the beginning here, right? Where it's just me working in this space. As you can see up here, there's no one joined, and I haven't started a collaboration yet, right? That collaboration has to be started in order to put it into the cloud. Awesome. So I hope that was a useful example on my Chromebook here. Now, what we like to do here is show that Explain Everything can be used on any device. So what's important is we show things on different devices and what they look like. So finally, just to kind of give a quick overview here on the Chromebook, I'm going to pop out the bottom, go back into Google Classroom, and just show you, these assignments can be posted in here just like you'd post assignments in Google Classroom today, right? You can see the classwork that's been done. You could see what's kind of in the screen here. For example, I exported this one project as an as an image, right? And instead of an actual URL, you actually see the image there, right? So I could actually post this as a MP4 video. I could just put a video directly in here so they could watch the video. right? They wouldn't have to go to explain everything and download it. They could just watch the video. But that's more of the end format that we discussed at the beginning, right? So you can post it in any format here, as a URL that's downloadable, as a collaboration, as just a movie that someone can watch, etc. All right, so now I'm going to stop the share on here.
So Sam, there's one more question.
Great.
The question goes, if I am setting an assignment, does it create a new copy of the whiteboard for each student?
Great question. So if you're, let me just jump back in here so we can get back to this. So if you're sharing a project as just a web video link, right? So what you'll notice in this web video link here, and this is just an example, I'm not going to share it right now, is that this is a 7-digit code, right? That code is not an actual collaboration. That's just a project hosted in the cloud, which is downloadable. It would create a new copy for every student. Every student would have to be forced to download that project and then work on it and explain everything. Now, if I were to, instead of share as a web video link, I shared it as a collaboration here. Now you're starting to recognize the difference. This is an 8-digit code instead of a 7-digit code. That's how you know. Now, if I share that they wouldn't, unless that was part of the instructions to download a copy instead of join the collaboration, each student would be able to join this collaboration instead of creating their own copy. So each student could create their own copy, or you could have it so that they all actually join one copy that they're a part of.
Exactly. So you can have it both ways. It's more of a question of how you want to structure your assignment, by providing a project so every student separately works on the project on their own, or by creating kind of like an engagement space where they work together. Just keep in mind that the collaboration where they work together on a project makes sense for limited groups, because otherwise it might be chaos. So what we recommend is to set the collaboration in a way that you have an engagement space for, let's say, not more than 4 or 6 students at once. 3, 4 would be optimal. And if you have a class of 20 people, let's say, all you need to do is to start few collaborations, let's say 4 or 5 projects, and share those codes that will take them to those engagement spaces with each of the group. That's how you can like divide the entire class into different engagement spaces.
Great. So just as a review here, we kind of separated this into 2 things, right? So, so we first had the teacher here, right, which they would kind of create the content that they wanted to share with the students. And then they would share it through Google Classroom, right, in any format they wanted, whether it's just a kind of viewable video, it's a downloadable video link, or it's a collaboration. They can kind of share in any format that they want. Now, it's the students' turn to kind of use that content, right? So they can just access the video. They can just watch a video that's been created by the teacher. They can download the template, as we showed you with the kind of animal template on the Chromebook. They just downloaded that template of the animals, and then they can complete the assignment on their own and turn it back in. Or they can make it a collaborative type assignment where they're working on it as a group project. Great. So now the next kind of stop is, now the students have made their own creation and they want to turn it back in, right? So that's pretty simple right here. So all that has to be done for this to take place, right, is the student has already created a recording here, and all they have to do is hit that export button, and they would export it, as I said earlier, just as that video, and they would just post that video as the assignment for the teacher. Now what you can think of that video as is almost the end product, right? It's not this downloadable or collaborative project anymore. It's actually this end product that can then be graded by the teacher, or it could be, you can give feedback based on what the student created. You know, that can kind of be the format that you wanna kind of look at, right? So you can say, you know, after you finish your project or your assignment on the animals are telling me about each of the animals or creating your own story. Then export it back to me and post it in Google Classroom as your homework assignment for tonight, right? So it's a quite neat workflow, and it'll look something like this, right? Where you have the instructions that you've provided for, the instructions that you provided for the students would be there, as we saw up here. Let me see, right? So the instructions would look something like that, right? And then you would just toggle over the student work, and that's where all of the completed assignments would be created. And these could all be kind of, movies, explanations, etc.
So Sam, here's a question related to that. And it's a question from Ryan. Hi, Ryan. So the question is, when you set an assignment to a class of, let's say, 20 people and they return the work, what does the interface look like when they do that?
Right. Yeah. So it would basically be just a list of the students that had completed their assignments, when they completed it, etc. And you could, and if they're videos, right, if you just have them all, post them as MP4s, you can actually view them in Google Classroom and grade them right there. If they post them as links, right, it'll actually be a link that would take you back to explain everything where you can watch that video. So typically the way that works best for most of these kind of completed assignments would be in video format, or if there's no video, just in kind of PDF format, where in this space here, unfortunately I don't have a screenshot of it, what it would look like. I can actually create one as kind of a follow-up to this, but it would basically just be a list of all of the students here, right? Right, so this could be Sam, this could be Ryan, etc. So you would have a kind of a list here where you could actually have a box to comment, right? You could actually provide your own feedback in video format if you like, right? So there's a number of kind of ways that you can work in that space there, right? So I think here I might have given an example, right? So these are assignments, so it would look something different, but it would look very similar as a actual end product, or when you turn in the assignment, where you could actually say, all right, use this link to check out my feedback based on what you turned in, right? There's a nice kind of way that you can kind of work between the two there. Great question though. And I'll have to get an example of what it looks like when someone turns in, or a number of students turn in projects that would look like videos, or are videos in kind of Google Classroom. You can kind of post them and play them right there, and then leave comments and even grade it.
So Ryan also asked, can you write on their documents? And the question is, yes, if you open their Explain Everything projects, you can modify them and create a new video and even respond with a video to the projects. And if students provide their work in form of a video, you can also open the video and Explain Everything and write on top of the video, which is crazy, but it's still possible to provide instructions that way. So in order to respond with a video to a video, if it makes sense.
Right, exactly. So from Google Classroom, there is no like kind of markup ability in Google Classroom of an Explain Everything video. If you wanted to kind of mark that up or give feedback, you could either, if it was an MP4, you save it down to your device, and then you could bring it into Explain Everything and give your feedback there. Or if it's a link, you could just bring it into Explain Everything, download it, and give your feedback there, and then post it back for the student, right? So that's kind of the workflow that would go back and forth. Typically, this finalized video would be something that's now ready to be graded, or at least you're ready to give kind of either verbal or digital feedback within Google Classroom in their kind of assignments category. Since where are we? Right? I don't think and I think there's one more. Let's just do them all. Thanks, Megan. The real teacher.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That must have been me. one one more comment to providing feedback is that if you ask your students to create, let's say, a video in a group, so you have this scenario where they engage in a collaborative space and create a video, that what they will provide is a link to a video that is created to this collaboration that they had. So it's actually a separate video, so you can review both the project and stream the video from that project. And what's interesting is that you can add as many recordings to the project as you like. So you can have a set of videos streaming under one project, which is fantastic and phenomenal if you think about it, because you can go to the same project again and again and create new videos that will show up in the structure underneath the cloud project. I don't know if you can show this on your end.
Yeah, so this is kind of an example, right, where you can actually see the history of the products that have been created.
This is great. So on the bottom, you see on the top, there's a thumbnail of the project that you can enter. That's the cloud project. And here, Sam shows 3 videos that were rendered from this very project.
Correct. Great. So now we can kind of, let's quickly, well, we have about 14 more minutes. Continue to ask questions if you like. Those are great for helping guide. We can kind of create something here, right? So let me start by, this is an example of a cell, so something that might be a little bit more useful for you. Describe the elements of a cell, right? So I'm now the teacher. So please use this cell here, right, to describe the elements that we talked about in class today. Make sure to label each of the parts of the cell, right? That'll be important when I'm making sure that everything that we went through in class today was understood. Okay, so now I have my video.
The audio is not transmitting, but you can see that the
Right.
the audio is captured by Explain Everything.
Yeah.
So normally it plays.
Yeah, so I think it's because the lightning cable isn't sharing it. Let me see
That's
one
the
thing.
QuickTime for you. So, oh no, it's muted. It's just muted in QuickTime.
Muted, yeah. Let me see here. Let me see if I can, just so I can give a.
If you just increase the volume in a QuickTime, and you have the panel that is displaying on top. Oh yeah, it's just.
Something weird going on there. All right. Well, so if I export this as a video, you would see that my voice is actually captured there, just in the background, the way that we're connected through this Zoom conference. Now, I can share this, boom, as a web video link. And I'll now take this, and I'm going to share it in Google Classroom, and I'm going to create an assignment, and I'm going to call it Cell Review. Please create video describing the elements of the cell.
Or just follow instructions in the video, huh?
Right, or just follow instructions in the video, right? We like to give as many types of instructions as we can, so we'll post this now, right? And now, so now I'm the student, and I'm looking at my assignments for tonight. There's the new assignment.
Oh yeah.
Cell review, instructions, right? So, okay. There it is, right? And now it's just downloadable, because that's how I made it. I made it downloadable. I didn't turn it into a collaboration. So I'm just going to hit download. Boom, it downloads a copy of that. I can play it, right? You're not going to be able to hear because of the lightning cable, but it's playing the video that I shared with the students. And now I know what the instructions are, and I've also heard them. So I can go back in there. I can hit I can, whatever, however I want to do that. I could have another slide here where I actually have the cell, and it's not instructions. It's just the actual part of the project where I'm answering what's been asked. However I want to do that. So I could just take this. Let's just take the cell here. Let's group. All right, let's just copy this cell. And let's add a new slide and paste it in there. And now I can, hit record and say, these are the different parts of the cells. This is the whatever it might be. These are the mitochondria. These are the enzymes. Whatever we learned in class. Take that project that's been created, export it back as a video into Classroom. Right, so it'll basically prepare that project as a kind of entire video. What it's doing is actually it's rendering that first slide too. So let's what we'll do here, just so you can kind of get the full idea. I'm going to delete that first slide because we don't need that anymore. We're just exporting the description. Export video. Google Classroom. So it's taking that video, rendering it as an MP4. Again, I could place this MP4 wherever I want. This could be going to YouTube if I wanted. I could say, okay, create material. Because I'm still the teacher here, you can't really see the other side of this. But I could say cell project. And I could post that for the teacher in the correct place because I'm now the student. Right, boom, done.
Fantastic. Sam, question from Megan. Can we actually show the similar example, but using collaboration? So let's make it into a collaborative assignment, if that's all right for you.
Great. So I'm going to hit invite there. I'm going to hit start. Right, so now it's a collaborative assignment. And I could have already, let me see if I have it here. Right, so here's the actual original project that I made. Now I'll just take that, start it as a collaboration. Boom, mute microphone. Now I'm going to take that, see how it has the code up here, the 8 digits instead of the 7. Now all I have to do is hit share, Google Classroom, create an assignment. So cell collaboration, post that. Close. Right, so now I've created it, and Bart's actually joined it already. But I could then go to Google Classroom. Cell collaboration, instructions, whiteboard. Might be weird because I'm already in it. But basically, what it would do there is it would open it up, right? It would give me that option that you saw in the Chromebook earlier. There it is, right? So instead of just the ability to download here, right, this is a collaborative project where I could still download it if I wanted, as you can see here, right? But now I can actually join this project, right? So those are the two big differences.
My suggestion would be to restrict download options if you want to have the project collaborative. Otherwise, it might be confusing. The number of options might be confusing for students. And also, just if you notice, when Sam was sharing this collaboration, he also shared the link. So there is not much difference in the way you provide link to the materials. There is rather a difference of what you access. It's either a project, if you said it that way, or a live collaboration to join, if that was your choice.
Yeah, right. So you have those two different options there. Cool. All right. Well, Hopefully that was useful. If there are kind of follow-up questions about kind of creating this similar workflow for your classroom, or if you'd like to do something like this, like we designed today, and you have more questions, feel free to reach out. We're happy to support you and make sure this is really working for you. So again, the way that we did it today was using these links that are shareable and downloadable. Now, if you're using Explain Everything EDU, you would just be sharing these all as movies, right? You wouldn't be kind of doing this back and forth. So if you're interested in using this ability to download links and share them and then pass them back, check out Explain Everything Whiteboard. I think you might be really interested in it if you're still using Explain Everything EDU. Again, so the best way to reach out to us with questions is you can reach out to me directly, and then also if you want to use our support team, depending if they're technical questions. So if it's technical stuff, support, I'm not sharing anymore. Support at Explain Everything will be your fastest way to reach our technical support team. Everything.com. And then individual support, right? Feel free to reach out to me. My name is Sam. My email is Samuel at explaineverything, same thing.com. Right, so those are kind of two ways to reach out. You can also reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, etc. So again, feel free to reach out to us with additional questions.
So Sam, there is one more question coming from Sam, and the question is it possible to replicate the experience that we observed today on a Google Classroom example in Microsoft Teams? And the answer is, we'd love to do that, maybe sometime in the near future, as it's less a question of experience, rather the group of users. So Google Classroom, this is all about education. Teams, Microsoft Teams, it's more business oriented. And we're happy to provide similar experience in that, yet for now, we're limited now we're confined to the Google Classroom example. But we're happy to explore that possibility as well.
Yeah, it should. So the way that we describe Google Classroom working today, the way that Explain Everything integrates, so because they're not actually integrated within each other, right? For example, you could do this with any learning management system that you're using, whether it's Canvas or Schoology, or within Microsoft Teams, or within kind of your existing scenario, right? We use Google Classroom because it's a very popular use case here, but it really would work in any space that you're using to store and share content, right? We're not limiting, we didn't build anything specific for Google Classroom. As you can see, there's import and export options. But that's just the way that these devices work with each other, and the way that these URLs can speak with each other from different applications and different services. So yeah, I think the way that we described or kind of gave an overview of this scenario, this is transferable across any kind of platform that you're using today.
So Sven, just to answer some more, you can try to use it with Microsoft Teams, although one problem, because Sam, obviously, when we're speaking about integration, it's both accounts integration and content integration. And Sam covered what is the content integration. It's basically sharing links or pieces of content from one app to another. And all the magic then, everything looks similar. But with accounts, we're very much integrated with the way the users authenticated, and therefore there's no problem with Google Classroom. You might experience, however, with Microsoft Teams that you'll have separate users in Explain Everything and separate set of users in Microsoft Teams. And this is something that would need to be solved in order to make experience more approachable for the users. But this is a specific example, and Sven, I'm happy to discuss that offline if you want to find a solution in your specific environment, so it's easy to use by teachers and students. Also, when speaking about those integration options, this is the last thing maybe that we could throw in here to this webinar is that you notice there are many options, and Explain Everything is a very open-ended experience, and we kind of like look for a balance of the things that are easy to understand and approachable, yet flexible, and we're happy to learn from you how it works for you. Is it confusing sometimes? Is it overwhelming? Or is it too simple? We're happy to hear how you use that in the classroom, what you've learned, what worked best, what doesn't. So please reach out to us, not only with technical issues, but also with your inspirations and examples that you want to share with us. That will be super helpful for us.
Great. Thanks so much. And thanks everyone for joining today. Again, feel free to reach out to us with additional questions or to get involved. Hopefully this was a useful use of your time, and we look forward to you joining future webinars. Again, you'll get a copy of this recording in your mailbox within the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.